Hello. I was just cleaning the temple. One of the things I like to do is put on some music and clean. You ever do that? So ongoing with the videos, preparing for the 5 Elements retreat. Want to just keep building on some of the topics that we've been covering so far. I know in the last video I promised to talk about some of the practices and the techniques and the things that we would be doing, and I went more into the metaphysics and talking about the map of Samkhya, this idea of the optimal blueprint, also talking about the narratives and the stories that we tell ourselves that we end up creating our universe from, right? And want to just continue to expand on some of these concepts and ideas. Given all of the things that we've talked about so far, I think it's a good building the context, right, of what it is that we're doing. I think that's a good place to start and kind of continue the conversation about this stuff. Because when we get to the retreat and we're there and we have 11 days, and 2 of those days, 2 of the nights will be singing nights where we'll be communing with the grandmother, the medicine of the grandmother. And I suppose we can bridge from some of the kind of conceptual things that we've been building on over the past 2 videos and start to talk about like the practical execution of some of this stuff. And because it's, the theory, a lot of what we've been talking about is a lot of the theory, like the theoretical framework for our spiritual work together, which I feel is really essential in terms of we want to, at least I want to convey something that we can all grasp and that makes sense, that there's an intuitive component to this where we all sort of have a common understanding of what it is that we're doing. And the reason I feel that that's important is because the practices support the theory, and the theory supports the practice, right? And because anyone can do yoga, right? There's so much access nowadays to yoga practice, which is awesome. And those who feel inspired to deepen, which if you're coming on this retreat, then on some level you're feeling inspired to deepen, then looking at the roots, looking at the foundational teachings, looking at what I feel is the essence of the path of yoga, and really trying to wrap our minds around that helps us to move away from yoga as exercise, or yoga as a something that nowadays is like stress reduction, health and well-being. It's a whole sort of, in some ways it become a fitness fad. Like vinyasa yoga today is often associated with the fitness industry, which again, nothing wrong with that. However, if we are, I feel that if we are interested in the spiritual component of yoga, the spiritual component being this is a path that brings us back into connection with our source, right? What we were talking about in earlier videos, and helps us to learn about and build a relationship to, and ultimately manifest in our life the soul expression, as we were saying, like the optimal blueprint. And so there's this incredible potential, right, within the path of yoga, where on the surface it can be health and wellness and stress management and healing and therapy and all those things, which are good things, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And the fact that yoga can provide that, and in addition to providing that, it can take us deeper into the spiritual transformation. I think it's wise to see, the layers, and to identify and name them, so that when as we traverse, right, in our path and our development, that we see the steps. The idea, I think, of spiritual transformation through yoga practice is not something that is easily embodied. Yeah, I would say it's not easily embodied, for the sake, for the fact that spiritual transformation, like real transformation on the deepest level of us, is fucking hard, Like, it's really hard. And the journey of healing, the journey of completing the past, the journey of self-knowledge, self-mastery, of understanding ourselves on deeper and deeper levels, is one that takes time, it takes patience, it takes conviction, right? Faith in oneself and faith in one's path. And I remember a teacher of mine said to me once, he's like, a lot of people think yoga is just like some magic pill, and it's just going to all of a sudden make you sexy and have a nice butt and heal all your trauma. And I remember hearing him say that, and, it made me laugh, and I'm like even laughing now, because on some level that's true, right? Like, in the human mind, right, the condition of our mind, often thinks that, like, oh, there's some shortcut, you know even people coming to medicine think that, like, oh, if I drink medicine or I take this medicine, it's suddenly going to, like, heal decades of misalignment. And I think on some level we all know that that's not true, but there's still like a hope, there's still like there's like a wishful attitude. And I think that there's an innocence to that, and I believe that there's a beauty to that, actually, that we have hope to begin with, and that we think that there could be, if we just do the right thing, all of a sudden it will change everything. But on a more practical level, perhaps, or a more grounded level, I think we know, or at least we intuit, that, like, no, there's actually steps, that there's a process, and it is that process that we're interested in, if we are sincere about our path. And I think that, accepting that process and accepting the path in that way helps us mature a lot in our spiritual journey. At least it's helped me mature. And an ongoing maturation process, where it's just like continuing to have these reckonings, have these in, lack of better words, like come to Jesus moments, where it's like, holy shit, like, I could be doing a better job at X, Y, or Z. And accepting that, and not being afraid of that, not being afraid of the work as it presents itself to me. So I think, to talk about that a little bit in this video, and, with the intention of just ongoing preparation for what's to come, we're going to practice, right? A lot. We're going to practice a lot. And each person, for you, who's coming, is going to bring a certain energy to the practice. And that energy that you bring to each practice will be dependent on your level of sincerity, your level of curiosity, and your level of really grokking, like, what I'm laying down. because my hope and my intention anytime I lead a group through an experience like this is that people walk away transformed. And I've also learned to let go of the attachment of, like, everybody's going to get something different according to where they're at in their journey, which is perfect. And not everybody's going to want to all of a sudden, like, renunciate everything and, like, go live in a cave and meditate and pursue enlightenment full time. That's just not, like, realistic. What's more realistic is that most people, generally speaking, like you and I, we want to live our lives, right? We have families, we have friends, we have loved ones, we have jobs, we have communities that we serve. And I believe it's through our, the time that we take to deepen and investigate for ourselves, like, what is this path about, and what am I really made of? Like, what is the potential in me? I believe that it's through our efforts of doing that, where we set aside time, just like we're doing, to go and be in retreat, to immerse ourselves and to train, and to study and to practice and to a certain degree embody realization. It's like, I recall a teacher's teacher was, his quote that I love, and this is in one of the lineages that we study with the fire. He says, it's not, what does he want? Or what does he say? He says, it's not like he says, it's attainment that we want, not just a whirl of new activity. And what he means is that, like, through these tools and through the technology of yoga, there is a biophysical, like a biochemical, a neurophysiological, like there's like a physical change to the organism that takes place through the asanas, through the pranayamas, through the kriyas, through the way that we develop our attention and develop our mind and our nervous system. And those changes happen on every level, right? So, like, as we progress in our sadhana, real change occurs, structural change, and that creates real structural change in our life. Like, it's like changing the architecture, or the plumbing. I like to think of it as the plumbing, like the inner wiring of our system. So that's what we're interested in, and again, not everybody wants to just quit everything and go into a cabin and practice full time, nor is that realistic. However, wherever we are in our journey and whatever our life situation is, the potential is there to allot time for practice that then, if we're intelligent about it and we're applying ourselves in a way that is aligned with the tradition, and the science, wind, then there can be, like, real significant change. So, yeah, I think that's a good place to finish this video, and I believe that we're getting to a point where in the next video, hopefully it's the next video, we can talk more about, like, the practice. I mean, I keep alluding to, like, okay, we're gonna talk about the practical steps, but I feel like there's more to, kind of more ground to cover, in terms of laying the foundation before we can start to build. But I hope that you're picking up what I'm putting down and that this is resonating, because the more all of us are cohered around, what it is that we're doing, then when it comes to the application and the execution, there's a lot more focus, and coherence amongst us as a group. And that way each person's bringing that level of energy, that level of sincerity and curiosity and, like, determination that, like, holy shit, like, we have an opportunity here, a really good opportunity to make some serious progress, to transform, like, actually transform. and not as a concept, not as like inflating the ego, but actually stripping back and removing the density, the things that really are not helping us. You know what I mean? In some way, like there are things that are not helping us. I like in me, there's things that aren't helping me, and perhaps there's things that inside of you are not helping to live the best life that we can live. You know what I mean? So if you're still inspired and you're like, yeah, dude, I'm into that. Like, let's live our best life. Let's activate the dormant potential in us. Let's empower ourselves with these tools. Let's grow. Let's get stronger. Let's get more focused. Let's get more precise. Let's become more embodied. Let's become safer, just more joyous, more radiant, like all of these things. Like, let's do that. Like, for real, like, let's do that. That's freaking cool stuff to do. And we have an opportunity to do that. So, anyways, that's all I want to share. And thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all for the next one. Have a beautiful day. Talk soon.